Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section here for this mega sub $20 comparison. Okay, I'm gonna start off here with the ones that I think are just pointless. At least when you consider that you have such nice IEMs in this whole group here, and so these three particular models, yeah, I think absolutely make no sense. So the first one I'm going to be showing you is the Lafitte Ear LV1. They say that it's got a planar driver, coaxially mounted on the DD and so on. Look, all I know is that, and the graph shows that maybe the planar isn't working properly, because the stock graph does have a small dip at around 5 and then rises again, and my one is far from that, and it sounds what it's graphing like. And to be honest, I don't feel like spending another $20. I don't think it's just worthwhile. But anyway, as you can see, the graph is not really the most appealing. The base actually is not that bad. It's not as bloated as what the graph might induce you to believe, and it's actually, fine. The next one is the Jade Audio NX2, a really cheap single DD from them, and again, there's just no redeeming factor about it. Okay, fine, it doesn't sound too bad, and if you want something really really cheap, I guess it could be made to work, but and finally the TKZ, the Odin, which I mean, when you look at it in the graph, the base is actually the best of the three in terms of how it's executed and so on. But then this upper top, this upper range here is just an absolute mess. So to be truthful, I really wouldn't spend money on these IEMs. I've done it for you guys, so don't go do it. Okay, so let's get these ones here out of the way and move on to stuff which actually does make sense. Anyway, we'll start here with the Jade Audio. Let me get them here a little bit more present. So we'll start off here with the Jade Audio stuff. Both the my apologies, the JD10, which is this one here, which is the cheaper, and then the JD1, which is this one here, which is a little bit more energetic. I mean, like I mentioned earlier in the review, it's got that older style of tuning. It's not entirely bad. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's bad and it doesn't make sense, because it's not entirely bad. I've actually began tinkering around a little bit with the Jade Audio, with the JD1, in an attempt to retune it, and so far I've gotten this. So let me just take here quickly the JD1, so the JD10. So the red line is the retuned JD1, and so far I'm happy. Yes, it's a little bit thick sounding, because the bass, it's actually more prominent than what it appears here on the graph, and I'm going to try and lower this bass a little bit just to balance things out. But the retuned version overall does sound more appealing, to be truthful, than the stock one. Although, having said that, when I compare the stock JD1 with the stock JD10, the JD1 does sound a little bit more complete, because it does have a little bit more of that extra energy up in the upper mids and treble to compensate the bass that it has. So that's that. So let's get these two here as well out of the equation so they don't bug us. So JD10 can go, and the JD1 can also go. Now let me show you the BCO2, the DCO1 Pro, and the DCO2. So it's going to be these ones that I'm going to now show you, which is the CCZ BCO2. Mind you, let me call them by the proper name. This is the BCO2. This let me actually make it black so it does stand out a little bit more. This is the CCZ DCO1 Pro, and the final one is the CCZ DC02 Solo. The best one without doubt is the BCO2. It's the one that's the most balanced. The ratio between bass and then upper mids and treble is phenomenally well done. It's just the best one. Okay, it just sounds the best out of these three. But as I mentioned earlier, if I was going to choose a CCZ, I'd definitely choose this one. But compared to the other models, the DC01 Pro just doesn't make any sense in my opinion, so that one can go. While the DC02, which is what I'm comparing now, it needs the bass to be lowered a little bit, and also a little bit of a retune to be done to it, and I think I can make it sound quite interesting. Just for the sake of comparison, since I mentioned that I retuned the CCZ VCO2, I want you guys to see how it is when it's retuned. And when it's retuned, this is what you get, okay? And trust me guys, the BCO2 retuned is a very nice sounding IEM. Very, very nice sounding IEM. That ratio that I usually look for between 100 Hz and then where it corresponds to in the pinna gain, it just sounds really well. Really nice, clean, detailed, very, very, very nice. Very nice. Okay, so the BCO2, I would say definitely get it if you want to retune it, because this is the sort of sound that you can get out of it. Or if you do have it, then retune it. If you're going to buy one of the three and just leave it stock, the BCO2, and then the DC02 Solo is the next make sense model. All right, now let me show you the let me just push this up a little bit more here. Okay, get this out of the way as well. Okay, let me show you now the high des, the MS1 Galaxy. Okay, let me show you as well the Escore Venus, as they have both a very similar style of tuning, which is what that smooth, relaxed pinna gain. One picks it closer to about 4 point something, the other one a little bit past that. But both of them, and I'll just leave here the MX1 Galaxy, they both are really nice. The MX1 Galaxy is not as thick sounding as what the Curve would imply, but it's got a nice, full organic old school type of sound. It's very engaging, it's a very fun listening IEM, fun to listen to IEM. The Escore Venus, I think the Curve speaks for itself. It's really nice. Again, that ratio between 100 Hz and then where it corresponds to in the upper mids or treble, in my opinion, is perfectly done. It sounds detailed, it's clean, it's a really, really, really solid IEM. Really solid IEM. Difficult to choose between the two of them. Honestly, really very difficult to choose between the two of them. Okay, so that's those two. Now, let's talk here. The KZ EDC Pro and the KZ EDC Pro, yes, number 3. Okay, and the KZ EDX Pro X. I actually didn't put it up here. I'll get it quickly here for you guys. KZ, apologies guys, okay, apologies, KZ EDX Pro X, where are we? EDX Pro X, where are we? Blah blah blah. No, EDX, I believe it's this one here. Exactly. This is, or rather, let me put it to you this way. One, the EDC is using the star line, and the EDX is using the whiteboard tips. I actually think I do have it here with the stock tips. Yes, there we go. Yeah, there we go. That's okay. This is now both of them using the starline tips. Okay, let me just quickly take away the whiteboard version of the. Okay, as you can see guys, 80 to 82 2 dB, especially at this part of the frequency range, you're not going to tell the difference. About a dB or on something at around 2, you're not going to tell the difference. I mean, they sound almost identical because they have the same driver. It's just the shape of the shell just changes ever so slightly, and they sound really good. Look, that's the truth. The EDX Pro, or be it the Pro EDX Pro X, or be it the EDC Pro, they both sound really, really solid. That's as simple as that. It's pointless for me to try and to say no, it doesn't. Now with the wide bore, yes, it does help, and you don't really notice this here, but it does help. It does make it sound even more competent. And let me just take away here quickly the EDC Pro. So these two graphs are both for the EDX Pro X, one using the star line tips and the other one using the wide bores. Yes, the wide bore is definitely wide bore, okay? But smooth, detailed. If you look at the ratio here, let me quickly just do away with one of them so you can see better. If you look at ratio between 100 and where it corresponds, plenty detail, which is what you hear. It's open, it's clean, probably the most correct sounding out of the ones that I've mentioned. And the same thing applies for the EDC Pro. They are both very, very competent IEMs that sound really, really well. Okay, so that's the EDX Pro X and the EDC Pro. Next one, I've shown you the ideas, I've shown you the Escore. In the Audio Venus, one of the first ones that truthfully surprised me. This is using the Starline tips, and the next one that I'm going to show you is using the wide bore, which is what I recommend. Definitely wide bore tips. Why? Because the way the tip interferes or interacts here with the treble region does open it up slightly. It does improve soundstage slightly, and the rest basically remains the same. And the truth is this: the Venus is a very nice sounding IEM. When you take here the 100 hertz point, yes, it does apparently seem to be a little bit on the warmer side, but I would say not so much on the warmer side, but more on the organic type of sound, not as clinical sounding as something like the EDC Pro. Let me just quickly put up the other EDC Pro so you guys can see what I'm talking about. The EDC Pro, although very similar in the bass, does have more detail here and does therefore sound a little bit more detailed, more open. And if you look at that point there of the 100 hertz to where it corresponds, you can see you've got energy above that, while on the Venus it's below, okay, in the upper mids. But either way, both of them sound really good. One more clinical sounding, one more detailed sounding, one more organic sounding. Okay, so that's that there, that's that. That's the in the Audio Venus. Next one, TKZ K, TKO2, using the wideboard tip once again, because that's where this thing shines. And using the wideboard tip once again, let me just quickly make this a more visible color. I guess perhaps black to make it stand out a little bit more. Okay, really nice balance. Let me take away the KZ. I'm just going to leave the Venus and the TKZK. Really, really nice. I mean, look, take that point, a little bit of energy up top, above. They end up being kind of very similar, both the Venus, which is the green line, and the black, the TKZK. They end up being very similar. The TKZK a little bit more coherent, a little bit more balanced. Again, when I take for example, the likes of the KZ, it ends up having more that sort of sound, although the KZ's got a little bit more bass below 100, but it ends up having a sound which is very more, or tendentially more clinical, but it's got a really nice musicality to it. That's the thing that it's very appealing about the TKZK, about the Venus, about the Escore, about the not so much the the high density because it already sounds overly thick maybe. But the Escore, the TKZ K and the Audio Venus, they have this very musical type of presentation, which is actually quite engaging. All right, and the CVJ TXS, again, a nice enough curve. It graphs decently. If we take here some of the other IEMs that I was just mentioning, you can see that it's very similar to the TKZK TKO2, just more energetic. But that more energetic doesn't actually make it sound more clinical, it just makes it sound more high power. Okay, very nice, honestly very nice. And again, let me put here quickly the KZ so you guys can have an idea. When I compare the KZ with the CVJ, very similar sound, perhaps just a tad more bass. Although the KZ does graph like more bass, I would say that actually the mid bass on the CVJ just seems a little bit more fuller. But you know, look guys, very similar once again. Okay, Fire I've done, BCO2 I've done, DC, TKZK. Actually, I believe I showed you the TKZK with the wide bore. The TKZK with the wide bore, that's the TKZK wide bore. I apologize, I actually was saying that this was the TKZK with the wide bore, but no, this is the TKZK with the wide bore. Really nice graph. I mean, you really cannot fault it. TKZK wide bore. Let's put you there in the Audio Venus as well in wide bore so you guys can have an idea. All right, that's number 7 there. All right, both of them wide bore. The Venus fuller in the bass, yes, you notice it, but not as much as what the graph would lead you to believe. But they both sound really nice, I mean, I cannot say this enough because it's true. I mean, they sound truthfully very nice. Okay, and now let's move on here to the to the MT series. Okay, and to the Orca and all of that. All right, we're gonna start here with the MT1 so you guys can have an idea of what the MT1 was like. The MT1, like I said, had this more old type of tuning approach, which was, you know, it was fine. It's not that it didn't sound good, but much like the BCO2 from CCZ, once you played around a little bit with the tuning of it, this is what you got. And this was way nicer. Or there was a second version I did of that retune, which is number 16 here. This is even better. Okay, the MT1 retuned, very nice, very nice. Trust me guys, very nice. Okay, now let's get this out of the way because we don't want this. What we want is the MT1, and we now want to throw the MT3 and the MT5 at it. Throwing the MT3 at it, this is what the MT3 was like. It actually sounded a little bit more thinner in the bass than what the graph would lead you to believe. Very emphasized up top, so very clinical sounding. And now the MT5, which is unquestionably the most balanced. The MT5, if you actually look at it, the MT5 has got very much similar vibes to the CVJ TXS. And let me just quickly put the CVJ and take away the other two so you guys can see. This is the CVJ and the MT5 together. You know, really very similar vibes, very similar vibes, very similar sound. Difficult to honestly choose a winner between the two of them. The other one, which also has a kind of a very similar sound to the MT5 from Turing, is the Orca, number 17 here. And the Orca, let me just take away quickly the CVJ. And as you can see, the Orca and the MT5 are very similar. There's just a little bit less energy on the Orca, making it a little bit more warmer sounding, okay, while the MT5 is more detailed, all right, more clinical. And guys, that's basically it. I mean, I remember I mentioned as well the MT5, and I compared it to the likes of the KZ stuff. There we go with the KZ. Very similar vibe. That's why I said that they are both very good, solid IEMs in terms of being very overall capable, very balanced. Both of them are, and that's that, guys. I mean, like I said, I don't want to repeat myself here too much, but KZ in the red, the EDC Pro, in the black, the MT5. Now in the green here, the TRN, the Orca. All of these three are phenomenal sounding IEMs. The TKZ K with the wide bore tip, as you can see, again, very much that similar vibe. It's the one that I've just added now, if you guys can look, all very similar. Very, 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 very similar. The trying to get here the TXS from CVJ, again another very similar sort of presentation. The ND Audio, the Venus, a little bit more, let's say, emphasizing the bass as compared to the others, but again, overall, very similar sounding IEMs, all very, very similar sounding IEMs. And just here for, I believe I still have it here. Or if I don't, it's always a question of fetching it quickly. Exactly. I thought this was an interesting thing to show you guys as well. If you recall, one of my favorite IEMs of last year was this IEM here, which was the Venture Electronics, the CA. Nice old school type of sound, really, really very, very nice. And if you look at it carefully, the graph, you can see that it is very similar, but very similar to the ND Audio Venus, using both of them obviously wide bore tips. Of course, I'm not saying that one went and fetch inspiration the other, but that's the sort of sound. If you want to know what sort of sound the ND Audio Venus has, it's a sound of a Venture Electronics CA. One costs $10 roughly, even less, $8, which is the ND Audio. The other costs $100. But the sound that they both put out is very similar. Of course, obviously one has got a plastic shell and the other one's got a nice metal shell, gold finish, nice cable, but very, very similar sounding. Very, very similar sounding, trust me. And as I also mentioned, then the other ones, which are two IEMs that I thought, or is another IEM at least that I thought is a very solid sounding IEM and worthwhile, considering, is the Escore Venus, especially the Escore Venus, which again has kind of got certain vibes of these last two that I mentioned, the ND Audio and the Venture Electronics. And that's it, guys. I mean, I think I cannot be more thorough than this. Anyway, you guys have a good one. Any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I'll do my very best to answer as quickly as possible. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I mean, seriously, guys, you can see the effort that I put into this. Let's make the channel grow. Yes? How about helping out your brother here and making the channel grow? Come on. I put out a lot of content. If you guys go actually and see the amount of videos that I put out, it's, and a lot of the videos that I put out are on IEMs which I tested months ago, and only now people are talking about them, so go check out my channel. Seriously, you will be very impressed with the number of IEMs that I've tested and the unusual IEMs that I've tested, and that's that. All right, you take care now. Bye bye.